Okay, Luis from Brazil. You are live on the air. Go ahead with your question.
Okay, my question is about Matthew, Matthew 15, 23 to 25, where Jesus said that he will send for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. And the reason I'm making this question is because I'm at the ANC, returning back home, and I see that the Messianic movement here, and also the evangelical Christians who come to us and say, look, this is because you need to keep Jesus as your Messiah, he came for you. But when I study the history of my family, I see that it was the opposite that happened.
Matthew 15 would be very consistent with that.
That's probably right. Rabbi, quick thought. Who was Jesus really sent for in general? And that's applied to this. He was sent for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Who is he referring to?
Oh, no. So what you first, to expound on this, so what we find in Matthew is that initially Jesus came for the Jews and not for the non-Jews. This might surprise many people, but I thought you would point to a different passage, but this one is fine. But in Matthew 10, Jesus says, do not go to Gentiles, don't go to the Samaritans, rather go to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Here we have a very strange passage where a woman who's not Jewish, we have a similar passage in Mark 7, a non-Jewish woman comes to Jesus whose daughter is very sick, vexed with the devil, and she asks Jesus to heal her, and Jesus wants no part of it, and just wants to get rid of her. And she then, not getting the response from Jesus that she's looking for, she then goes to the disciples in hopes that maybe they can put in a good word for her. And in the case of Matthew, it's a Canaanite woman. And the disciples they just want no part of her. Like, get this Gentile away. So it's a very anti-Gentile passage. And the disciples then go to Jesus and say, can we get this lady away from us? Like, and this is the story. And she realizes that, this is not working out at all. So she goes back to Jesus again and pleads with him. And then Jesus responds to her and says that I've only come for the Jews, for Israel. I didn't come for the Goyim, And he says it is not right to take the children's bread and give it to dogs. He explicitly is calling non-Jews dogs. And you'll never hear anti-Semites ever criticize the New Testament for doing this. Never. Christian anti-Semites are so charitable when it comes to the New Testament. It's mind-blowing. When it comes to the Talmud, they excoriate it. This is like clearly she's a second-class citizen as a Gentile, and she's a dog. She then cleverly responds, but it is not. She then says, but isn't it true that dogs can eat from the crumbs that fall from the master's table? Like if you have a dog, you know that you may not want to give the dog food from the table, but sometimes a little piece of food falls off the table and your dog gets to it before you do. So when she says that even dogs eat from the crumbs, so then Jesus says, so now I see then, woman, that you have great faith. It's a mind-blowing section. So I don't know why it's a very non-Jewish statement, because it also negates the whole purpose of Mashiach. The purpose of Mashiach is to redeem the non-Jews, really. The role of this is so wrong on so many levels. I want to sort of step away from the obvious that this story is just profoundly anti-Gentile. It's just horrible. But it also is it's so wrong fundamentally, because whereas in contrast to the Exodus, which was devoted to redeeming the children of Israel alone from Pharaoh, from Egypt, and no one else, the Messianic age, the whole point of it is the redemption of the world. That's the whole point of it. This is so wrong. The story is, I want to just get away from the idea that what Jesus said to her, to say this to a woman whose daughter is not doing well, for whatever it is, she thought she's vexed with the devil. But it's also the antithesis of what the Messiah is supposed to do. The Messiah is going to rebuke the nations and to judge among the peoples. Please don't take my word for it. Please don't. If you like me, don't like me so much. Really don't. Please read Isaiah chapter 2, verse 3 and 4. It says it openly. He will judge among the nations. He will rebuke the peoples. It openly says that. This is not the Tovia singer religion. I'm not important there. It's everything I'm saying is open. So this is not just wrong. This behavior is so outlandish, but it's the exact antithesis of what the Mashiach is supposed to do. Exact opposite of what Mashiach is supposed to do. Now, the way Christians read this, of course, I would be remiss if I ignored how Christians read this, and that is, they would say that, well, prior to Calvary, prior to the cross, Jesus just came for the Jews, and then the veil of partition in the Holy of Holies in the temple was torn, and then the separation between Jew and Gentile has been eviscerated, and then on the other side of the cross, we have the Great Commission. This is how Matthew ends, and go into all nations and baptize them in the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. So the way there is a structure here. The structure is that Jesus originally came just for the Jews, who rejected him and crucified him, and said that the responsibility and culpability for Jesus' crucifixion fell squarely not only upon them of that generation, but all the future Jews of generations to come. See Matthew 27, verse 25. But on the other side of Calvary, go into all nations. So that's what's really what they'll say was going on here, but that's not at all what the Mashiach is supposed to do, let alone the disrespect that both what Jesus shows for this woman who is in a rather pathetic predicament, and only when she acknowledged that she's a dog, this is unbelievable, she had to acknowledge that I'm just a Negro, I'm just a colored person. So once she said, look, I'm just a low person, I'm a second-class citizen. So when she said, look, it's true, I mean, you could only imagine this story happening in Alabama in the early 19th century, where a colored man was nothing, was less than didn't have the rights of a white man in Alabama. So you can imagine that a black man coming to a white person asking for help, and the white man saying, "You're just a black man. Get out of here. You're not a full person. You don't have full rights. You can't vote." You can imagine that, and then same story. You find the black man just appealing to some white slave owner saying, but I'm still of a half a person. I have something. So finally, the white man relents and says, all right, I see that you understand your status, that you're just a Negro, you're just a colored man, that you're less than a white man. So, okay, here you go. Here's a piece of food, You can that story has happened, I am sure, many, many times in the 19th century, when that's the story that comes into view here. So the theological explanation, which I presented to you faithfully, means meaning that Christians would say, well, this is before the cross and after the cross. And the guy's like, what are you doing talking to a non-Jew that way? You're talking to a non-Jew exactly the way a black person would have been spoken to in the South. And it doesn't necessarily have to be before the Civil War. It's not like after the Civil War, black men and women were walking around and totally equal. Jim Crow came after this and took a long time, and the problem has not completely gone away yet. So it's just unbelievable that such a passage would appear in the Gospels. Now, the Christian Bible does say that the priority is to go to Jews. And Paul would reiterate that in the first chapter of his most influential letter, the Epistle to the Romans, in chapter 1, verse 16, to the Jew first and then to the non-Jew. And as it turns out, it was a priority for the church to convert Jews above all else. So at the same time blaming us for killing Jesus, at the same time cursing us for every malady that went on in history, including during the Black Plague in the 14th century. They will leave it to the church to blame the Jews for spreading the Black Plague, which destroyed half of Europe. And 90% of Christian clergy were killed. The Black Plague had a catastrophic effect on the Catholic Church. In fact, you can make the case that the Black Plague would be the spark that would ultimately fuel Wycliffe and the Reformation, because of it weakened the Catholic Church. But the Jews were blamed for everything. As today, you go on YouTube, you can see the Jews are blamed for everything in the world. Same garbage in, garbage out. In any case, I know I've gone far in adrift. So the prioritization of evangelizing Jews is explicitly in the New Testament, to the point that Gentiles are considered like second-class citizens until you get to the other side of Matthew, go into all nations and convert them in the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost, baptize them. Anyways, thank you for your thoughtful question.
All right. Okay, moving on. Right on, DC, you are live on the air. Go ahead with your question. Guys, hit that like button, subscribe to the YouTube channel, go to Rabbi Singer's channel as well, and also don't forget his 2-volume book set, Let's Get Biblicals, Volume 1 and 2. The audio files are available, but the CDs are not, but they're available on his website.
The MP3. Let me say, I want to just one other thing for you guys. Listen carefully. Pay no attention to that man. No, listen to me. It's so important. If you believe in the work that William is doing, that we're doing here, whenever you watch any of our videos, please like it and please share it. It's very important because it really affects the algorithm so that our videos are spread around. So really it's very, very important that whenever you see a video of William, a video of mine, it's very important to like it. I hope we like it. Yeah. But if you do, don't just pass it. Just make sure you like it and make sure that you subscribe to channels, because it really has a very big impact on spreading Torah throughout the world. It's very, very important. You should really go through our videos and make sure that those videos that you haven't liked yet, you do like them. It really has a very, very big impact on spreading this message. Anyway, shalom.
Yeah. And commenting on them also helps generate views as well, so it kind of refreshes them on the system. So, Rabbi, thank you. Great show, and we'll see you, Hashem willing, same time, same place next week. Shalom, everyone. Bye.